Got another question from Ralphino. Hi, I am new to trading and I would like to know which coin is the best to invest in right now for a long-term investment. Well, we got two Forex traders. I think maybe the question is better suited to kind of how do you pick your trades and maybe giving Ralph some advice on how to get into some trades and how to pick some trades without being, I guess, too exuberant and just going after anything. I'm gonna throw this at Luke. Why not?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, crypto is not my bag at all. It's just not something I trade. Maybe that'll change in the future. But I mean, as far as picking trades go, for me, the main basis of me picking any trade is strategy, and it's a tried and tested strategy. It's hard to say if you're wanting to invest your money for the long term. That's sort of different from trading, in my opinion. Yes. Even though we call it swing trading because it's longer term trading, doesn't really class as investing in my eyes. It's if you're looking for somewhere else to put your money long term, then that's a different question, I guess. But as far as trades go, like I say, it boils down to strategy, and then the problems that we touched on earlier tend to come from the psychology affecting that strategy or your implementation of that strategy. And as we've already mentioned, it is just time. It's just a learning curve. It's building the experience. It's learning those mistakes. But I mean, there's nothing. I think a lot of new people to trading think that there's going to be something revolutionary or holy grail like about a strategy that works, and there really isn't. It is just a statistical edge in the markets that you trade when you pick the right opportunities and execute in the right way. And that's really all it boils down to. If you can build the psychology to implement that strategy correctly, then over the long run, if you can pick the right trades, they will profit for you.
So if he's asking, what cryptocurrency to invest in and buy and hold for years, I would say Chainlink. But it's the wrong question to ask if you're looking to be a trader. First you need to put a system together, then you need to test the heck out of it, and then that's when you actually start trading for real. So, but it's not an uncommon question. I get a lot of people that say, oh, what do you think of the euro? Should I put my money into it? I'm like, that's not a question I can answer. And then they look at me funny. They're like, well, you're a Forex trader. How can you not answer that question? I'm like, because that's not how you do it. It doesn't work that way. If you're really going to do this, do it right. And if you're going to do it right, you need to, A, assemble the parts and do a lot of trial and error, and then B, test it so you know it works. And why wouldn't you do those two things first before jumping in? There's a reason why that fail rate is as high as it is. And it starts with people's approach, and everybody's approach, especially on the onset, is just completely off.
Yeah, it's the initial approach and expectations that people come to. Maybe it's because they get that initial impression and expectations from the wrong places, which is probably the case a lot of the time. And then when they come into contact with someone who does do this properly and are dumbfounded by the answers that they get, because they're not been told, oh, well, just put all your money in whatever, or just do this simple thing and you've been making money in 5 minutes, that they almost disbelieve it, and that this stigma develops in that, well, you don't know what you're doing then. It's weird.
Yeah. But especially like with signals and stuff like that, people are like, oh, I want to buy a signal. And you can tell them, you can be like, oh, here's a signal, but they can always mess up the signal. They can buy too late, or they can sell too early, and they can just mess it up, or they can jump in after it's already moved. And then they're like, oh, well, I got it once. I wanted a confirmation. I want to see it move. And you're like, well, at that point you gave up all the points, all the pips. So what are you going after? So you can tell anyone anything, but they can always mess it up. Sorry.
That's really funny you say that, because everybody says that all signal services are trash. I actually think there's probably some good ones out there. It's just people wouldn't know how to use them, even if
exactly
the instructions were like written right in front of their face.
And they don't appreciate that is one signal in what will be a batch of signals. That trader that's giving those signals, like Patrick says, if they're a good one, they're not expecting that to always be profitable. This is one in a series of a bunch of trades, and the bunch of trades will be profitable over the long term. But someone might use a signal service for a month. You see these things getting touted on free trials and things or whatever, and are annoyed when they've lost money because they took 5 trades and 4 of them lost. But that happens. And if you're only going to take part in 5 trade bursts, from these different signal service providers, then expect that to happen. If you're not going to be in it for the long run to see the edge play out, then of course you're not going to see the profits.
Yeah, I almost feel bad because even like the best traders out there have a string of even 3-4 months to where they underperform. And God help a signal service provider if he's putting signals out during that time. He's going to lose half his business.
For sure.